stood at the window of their small home and watched her husband work in the garden, moved slowly between the plants, his hands gentle as he touched the leaves and checked the soil. He hummed a soft song, something from his home planet called Earth. The sound was quiet and peaceful. She crossed her arms and let out a long breath. 3 years. 3 years she had been married to this human, and still she did not fully understand him. On her world the males were loud. They beat their chests and showed their teeth. They fought for honor at every small insult. Her father had killed 6 men before she was born, all in fair combat, all because they had spoken wrong words to him. Her brothers were the same, strong, fierce, ready to draw blood at any moment. But smiled when people insulted him. He stepped aside when others pushed past him. He said, "Excuse me," and "I am sorry," so many times each day that had stopped counting. The other on the station laughed at her choice. She heard their whispers in the market halls and the dining areas. Poor, they said. She chose a human. She chose the weakest species in the galaxy. What was she thinking? Sometimes asked herself the same question. She turned away from the window and walked to the cooking area. Their daughter, Nara, sat at the table with her learning tablet. The girl was 5 years old now, with her mother's blue skin but her father's soft brown eyes. She was beautiful, a perfect mix of 2 worlds. "Mother," Nara said without looking up, "why does father talk to plants?" Smiled a little. "Humans believe that plants grow better when you speak to them." "That is strange." "Yes, humans are strange." Nara finally looked up. Her eyes were curious. "Grandmother says father is weak. She says you should have married a warrior." Felt her chest tighten. Her mother had never accepted. None of her family had. They saw only what was on the outside, a small human with soft hands and a gentle voice. They did not see what saw. But what did see? Sometimes she was not sure anymore. "Your father is different," said carefully. "Different is not always bad." "But is he weak?" Before could answer, the door opened and walked in. He carried a basket of vegetables from the garden, his face bright with a smile. Dirt covered his hands, and there was a small leaf stuck in his dark hair. "Look at this," he said, holding up a large purple fruit. "The biggest one yet. Nara, do you want to help me cook tonight?" The girl's face lit up. She forgot her question and ran to her father, lifted her easily and put her on his shoulders. They laughed together as they walked to the kitchen area. Watched them and felt warmth in her heart. This was why she loved him, this softness, this joy. He made everything feel safe and calm. But was safe and calm enough? On a space station full of warriors and criminals and dangerous traitors, was a gentle husband what she needed? She thought about this question often, too often. That evening they ate dinner together as a family, had made a stew with the vegetables from his garden. It was delicious, as always. The human had many skills. Cooking was one of them. He could also fix machines and build things with his hands. He worked as an engineer on the station, maintaining the life support systems that kept everyone breathing. It was important work, essential work, but it was not warrior work. It was not the kind of work that earned respect among the. "I saw Counselor today," said as he ate. "He asked about you, wanted to know if you were happy." Frowned, "Still thinks you stole me from my people." "Did I?" "No, I chose you." Smiled, "I know, I just like hearing you say it." She shook her head but could not hide her small smile. This was another thing about him. He could always make her smile, even when she did not want to. After dinner, put Nara to bed. Listened from the other room as he told the girl a story about a place called Korea, where his ancestors came from. He spoke of mountains and rivers and ancient kings. His voice was soft and warm, like a blanket on a cold night. When he came back, he sat beside on the long seat by the window. Outside, the stars moved slowly past as the station turned in space. "You are thinking again," said. "I am always thinking." "Yes, but tonight you are thinking loudly. I can almost hear it." He reached over and took her hand. His fingers were so small compared to hers. Her hand could crush his easily, but he held her without fear like he always did. "My cousin is coming to the station next week," said. "That is good, yes. You have not seen him in a long time." "It is not good," she looked at directly. "Serves Warlord now. He is part of his personal guard." His face did not change. "I see. Has been sending messages to my family. He believes I belong with my own kind. He thinks our marriage is a mistake." "What do you think?" The question hung in the air between them. Looked at her husband, at his kind eyes and his gentle face, at the hands that grew vegetables and fixed machines and never once struck anyone in anger. "I think I love you," she said, "but I am scared. Of everything, of what people say, of what might happen, of whether I made the right choice." Was quiet for a moment, then he squeezed her hand. "Do you remember the day we met?" Of course she remembered. She had been fighting 3 traders in the market. They had tried to cheat her, and when she complained, they attacked. She was winning, but one of them had pulled a knife. She did not see it coming. But did this small, strange human who she had never met before. He had pushed her out of the way and taken the blade in his arm. Then he had looked at them with eyes that made them step back. He did not shout or threaten. He just looked at them, and they ran. Later, when she asked why he helped her, he said simply, "Because it was right." She fell in love with him that day, not because he was strong, but because he was brave. There was a difference she learned. Strength was in the body, bravery was in the heart. "I remember," she said softly. "Then remember this too. I am not a warrior. I will never beat my chest or show my teeth, but I will never let anyone hurt you or Nara. Never." Wanted to believe him, she truly did, but she had seen what warriors could do. She had seen what could do. How could this gentle human stand against that? She leaned into him and closed her eyes. For now, she would enjoy this peace. For now, she would hold onto this moment. But in the back of her mind, a dark thought whispered. A storm was coming, and when it arrived, would her mild husband be able to protect them? She did not know the answer. The next few days passed quietly, went to work and came home. Nara went to her learning center and played with her friends, trained in the combat halls, keeping her skills sharp. Everything was normal. But could feel something in the air, a tension, a waiting, like the moment before lightning strikes. She heard more whispers in the market. People looked at her differently, some with pity, some with interest. Word had spread that was interested in her, that he wanted to bring her back to the home world, that he thought her human husband was an embarrassment to her bloodline. One afternoon, an old woman stopped in the corridor. The woman was bent with age, but her eyes were sharp. "I knew your grandmother," the woman said. "She was a great warrior, the greatest of her time." "Thank you," said. "She would be sad to see you now, married to a human, living in this small home, wasting your strength." His hands closed into fists. "My grandmother is dead. She does not see anything." "The ancestors always see." The old woman smiled, showing her remaining teeth. "We'll save you from this mistake. He will remind you what it means to be." She walked away before could respond. That night did not tell about the old woman. She did not want to worry him, but she held him than usual when they slept. She breathed in his scent and listened to his heartbeat. Whatever was coming, she would face it. She just hoped she would not have to face it alone. She looked at her sleeping husband one more time, so gentle, so kind, so completely unaware of the storm approaching. Poor, she thought, he has no idea what is coming. But perhaps a small voice in her mind whispered, perhaps it was the storm that should be worried about him. She pushed the thought away. It was foolish. Her husband was mild, everyone knew this. Everyone was sure of it. And sometimes everyone is wrong. The warship arrived on the 7th day. Saw it through the observation deck windows. A massive battle cruiser, painted black with red marks along its sides. The marks of Warlord, the marks of death. Around her, people stopped and stared. The station had seen many ships come and go, but nothing like this. This ship was built for war. It was built to make people afraid. It was working. "That is ship," a voice said beside her. It was her, a female named Belle. "Why would he come here? This station has nothing of value to him." Said nothing. She knew why he was here. He was here for her. She left the observation deck and walked quickly through the corridors. She needed to warn him. They could still run. They could take Nara and hide on one of the outer decks. Maybe would not find them. Maybe they could escape. But she knew, deep in her heart, that running would not work. Always found what he was looking for. That was why he was called the Hunter. That was why entire planets surrendered at the sight of his ship. She found in the engineering section, bent over a machine with tools in his hands. He looked up when she entered, and his smile faded when he saw her face. "What is wrong?" he asked. "Is here, his ship just arrived." Put down his tools slowly. He did not panic. He did not shout. He just stood there thinking, his face calm. "Where is Nara?" he asked. "At the learning center. I will get her." "No, go home. I will get Nara and meet you there." "Dad, trust me." He put his hand on her face. His touch was warm and steady. "Go home, lock the door. I will be there soon." She wanted to argue. She wanted to tell him that she was the warrior, not him, that she should be the one to face this danger, but something in his eyes stopped her, something she had not seen before. "Okay," she said, "be careful." He kissed her forehead, always. Ran home. The corridors were filling with people now. Everyone was talking about the warship. Everyone was scared. His reputation was known throughout the galaxy. He was cruel. He was powerful. He took what he wanted and killed anyone who stood in his way. She reached their home and went inside. She locked the door and then locked it again. She paced back and forth, her heart beating fast. Why was this happening? Why could not leave her alone? She had made her choice. She had chosen love over duty, peace over war. Was that so wrong? Minutes passed. They felt like hours. Finally, she heard footsteps outside. The door opened and walked in, carrying Nara in his arms. The girl was confused but not scared. She did not understand what was happening. "Father took me out of class early," Nara said. "Is something wrong?" Took her daughter and held her tight. "No, little one, everything is fine. We just wanted to spend time together." Locked the door behind him. He moved to the window and looked outside. His face was still calm, but could see the tension in his shoulders. Even her mild husband knew that danger was coming. "What do we do?" asked. "We wait. Maybe he will not come for us. Maybe he has other business here." They both knew that was not true, but saying it made them feel a little better. They waited. The knock came 2 hours later. It was loud and hard like thunder against their door. Jumped to her feet. Moved in front of her and Nara, his body between them and the door. "Open up," a deep voice said from outside. "By order of Warlord." His blood went cold. She knew that voice. It was her cousin. She moved past and went to the door. She opened it slowly. Stood outside, dressed in black armor with mark on his chest. Behind him stood 4 more soldiers, all armed with plasma rifles. Looked at her with sad eyes. "Cousin, it is good to see you. I wish I could say the same. I am sorry, I truly am, but you must come with us. Wishes to speak with you." "And if I refuse?" Looked past her at Nara. His eyes lingered on the child. "Please do not refuse, for everyone's sake." The threat was clear. Come with us or your family will suffer. Wanted to fight. Every part of her body wanted to attack his soldiers and make them pay for threatening her home. But she was outnumbered and, if she fought, they would kill and take Nara. She could not let that happen. "Fine," she said. "I will come, but leave my family alone." "No," said from behind her. "I will not let you go alone." Looked at the human with something like pity. "You are brave, little man, but this does not concern you. Stay here with your daughter. Do not make this harder than it needs to be. His face did not change. She is my wife. Everything that concerns her concerns me. The soldiers laughed. One of them said something in that did not want to translate, but held up his hand for silence. You may come if you wish, said. But I warn you, human does not like your kind. It would be safer for you to stay here. Looked at, she shook her head slightly. She did not want him to come. She did not want him anywhere near, but had already made his decision. Nara, go to your room, said gently. Stay there until we come back. But father... Please, little one, trust me. We will be back soon. The girl looked scared now. She understood that something bad was happening, but she obeyed her father and went to her room. The door closed behind her. And followed the soldiers through the station. People stepped aside as they passed. No one wanted to get in's way. No one wanted to be noticed. They reached the docking bay where ship was connected to the station. The airlock opened and they stepped inside. The ship was dark and cold, lit by red lights that made everything look like blood. Warriors stood at every corner, watching with hard eyes. At the end of a long corridor, they reached a large door. It opened to reveal a throne room, because that was the only word for it. A massive chair sat at the far end, made of black metal and decorated with the bones of fallen enemies. On the throne sat Warlord. He was old, but his body was still strong, muscles covered in scars, a face that had seen 1,000 battles, eyes that were cold and sharp like knives. He wore simple clothes, no armor. He did not need armor. His reputation was his protection. Said, his voice was deep and rough like rocks grinding together. Daughter of the great warrior, granddaughter of the legendary Myra the Unbroken, you come from strong blood, the strongest blood. Stood tall, she would not show fear. I did not come by choice. No, but you came, that is what matters. Eyes moved too, his face twisted with disgust. And you brought your pet. The soldiers laughed again, said nothing. He just stood beside, his face calm and blank. He is my husband, said. Show him respect. Leaned forward, respect for a human. They are weak, they are soft, they are good for nothing but serving their betters, and you married one. He shook his head. Your grandmother would weep. My grandmother is dead, and my marriage is none of your concern. Everything is my concern. I am warlord, I rule the military, and you belong to your people, not to this creature. Finally spoke, his voice was quiet but clear. Belongs to no one but herself, she made her choice, I suggest you accept it. The room went silent, every soldier stared at like he had lost his mind. No one spoke to like that, no one. Stood slowly from his throne, he walked toward them, each step heavy and deliberate. He stopped in front of and looked down at him, was almost twice the human size. You have courage, said, I will give you that, but courage without strength is just foolishness. He grabbed his arm and squeezed, heard the bones creak. His face tightened with pain, but he did not cry out, he did not look away. Let him go, said, her hand moving toward her weapon. Or what? Released and turned back to his throne. You will fight me, you will fight all my soldiers. You are strong, but you are not that strong. He sat back down and crossed his arms. Here is what will happen. You will come back to the home world with me. You will serve in my fleet as your blood demands. Your daughter will be raised as a proper, not as some half-breed pet. And my husband asked. Smiled, it was not a kind smile. Your husband will stay here. He will live his little life and grow his little plants, and you will forget he ever existed. No. The word came from, not from. The soldiers raised their weapons but waved them down. No, repeated, amused. The human says no to me, how interesting. Is my wife, said. His voice was still quiet, still calm, but there was something underneath it now, something hard. Nara is my daughter, you will not take them from me. Laughed, it was a terrible sound. And how will you stop me, little human? Will you cry at me? Will you beg? Will you grow vegetables at me? More laughter from the soldiers, but did not react. He just stood there looking at with those soft brown eyes. I will do whatever I must, said simply. Stopped laughing. He looked at for a long moment, studying him. Then he shook his head. Take them back to their home. I will give them 1 day to say goodbye. Tomorrow and the child come with me. The human can watch them leave. He paused. And if he tries to stop me, kill him, slowly. The soldiers grabbed and pushed them out of the throne room. Walked beside them, his face troubled. I am sorry, he whispered too. I tried to convince him to leave you alone, but he is set on this. He believes you belong with us. I belong where I choose to belong. Nodded sadly. I know, but does not understand choice. He only understands power. He looked at. Take your human and run tonight. Take your daughter and disappear. It is the only way. They reached the station. The soldiers released them and went back to the ship and walked home in silence. When they got inside, Nara ran to them and hugged their legs. You came back, she said, her voice relieved. I was scared. Picked her up and held her close. We will always come back, little one, always. She looked over their daughter's head. His face was still calm, but his eyes had changed. They were darker now, harder, like storm clouds before rain. What do we do? She asked him quietly. Looked at her, and for the first time in their marriage, saw something in her husband that made her heart skip. She saw rage. It was buried deep, hidden under layers of kindness and patience, but it was there, burning, waiting. We prepare, he said. For what? He did not answer. He just walked to their bedroom and closed the door. Stood there holding Nara, trying to understand what she had just seen. Her mild husband, her gentle, what was he planning? And why, for the first time ever, was she afraid for the people threatening them instead of afraid for him? The night was long and sleepless. Sat by the window watching the stars. Was in the other room doing something on his communication pad. He had been there for hours, sending messages, reading files, making plans. He did not tell her what he was doing, and she did not ask. Nara slept in her bed, peaceful and unaware. The girl was too young to understand what was happening, too young to know that tomorrow her entire life might change. Touched the glass and felt the cold of space beyond it. She thought about running like had suggested. There were ways off the station. Small cargo ships that asked no questions, trading vessels that went to the outer systems. They could disappear, start over, build a new life somewhere would never find them. But she knew that was a dream, would find them. He always found his targets. Running would only make him angrier, and an angry was something the galaxy feared. Finally came out of the other room. His face was tired but focused. He sat beside and took her hand. I found something, he said quietly. In the station database, there are old access tunnels that connect to the docking bays, maintenance routes that only the engineers know about. What good are tunnels? If we need to move quickly, we can use them. If we need to hide Nara, we can put her somewhere safe. Looked at him. You are planning something. I am preparing for anything. You cannot fight his soldiers. I love you, but you are not a warrior. You will get yourself killed. He smiled softly. It was the same gentle smile she had fallen in love with. I am not going to fight anyone if I can help it, but I will not let them take you. I made a promise when we married to protect you, to stand beside you. I meant it. A promise does not stop a plasma rifle. No, but it gives me a reason to try. She wanted to argue more. She wanted to shake him and make him understand the danger they were in, but she saw the look in his eyes, the quiet determination, the fire burning beneath the calm. He was not going to back down, no matter what she said. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I do not deserve you. You deserve everything. They stayed like that until morning. The soldiers came at midday. There were 10 of them this time, not 5. They marched through the corridors of the station with weapons drawn and faces hard. People ran from their path. Shops closed their doors. The entire station seemed to hold its breath. Watch them approach from her window. She had already put on her armor, the same armor she wore during her days as a soldier. It felt good to wear it again. Familiar, right? Stood beside her in his work clothes. He had no armor, no weapons, just his soft human body and his quiet eyes. "You should hide with Nara," said. "Let me handle this." "No." "No," he looked at her firmly. "We face this together." The door shook with a heavy knock, took a deep breath and opened it. Stood at the front of the soldiers, his face sad but determined. "The time has come, cousin. Waits for you on his ship. You must come now. And if I refuse, then we take you by force. Please, do not make us do that. Too many people will get hurt." Glanced at, he gave her a small nod. She did not know what it meant, but she trusted him. "Let me say goodbye to my daughter," she said. "Give me that at least." Hesitated, then he nodded. 5 minutes, no more. Went to Nara's room. The girl was sitting on her bed, holding a stuffed animal that had made for her. Her eyes were wide and scared. "Mother, what is happening?" Knelt beside her. "Listen to me carefully, little one. Some bad people want to take us away, but your father has a plan. He is going to keep you safe." "Is father going to fight them?" Paused. She did not know how to answer. "Your father will do what he needs to do, but you must be brave. Can you do that for me?" Nara nodded slowly. "I will be brave." Good girl, kissed her forehead. "Remember that I love you. No matter what happens, I love you forever." She stood and turned to find behind her. He had come in silently, like a shadow. He knelt beside Nara and spoke softly to her. Could not hear the words, but she saw Nara nod and wipe her tears. Then did something strange. He pulled up a panel in the floor. Behind it was a small space, big enough for a child to hide in. He put blankets and water and food inside. "If anything happens," he told Nara, "you hide here. Do not come out until I come for you, or until you hear our special word." "What is our special word?" "Sunset," Nara whispered. "Good, be brave, my little star. I will come back for you, I promise." He closed the panel over her. His heart broke at the sight, but she understood. It was the only way to keep Nara safe. They returned to the main room where waited. He looked at them impatiently. "Where is the child?" he asked. "She is scared," said. "She hid. I will get her from the ship later. She is not going anywhere." Did not look convinced, but he did not argue. "Fine, let us go." They walked through the station again. More soldiers had arrived. They lined the corridors like statues of war. People watched from doorways and windows, their faces a mix of fear and curiosity. Heard whispers as she passed. "That is the one wants. The woman who married a human. Poor thing, she does not stand a chance." "What about the human? He looks so small, so weak." "Humans are nothing, just prey. We'll eat him alive." Walked beside her, ignoring the whispers. His face was blank, his eyes forward, but noticed something. His breathing had changed. Slower, deeper, like an animal preparing for something. They reached the docking bay. Ship loomed before them, black and terrible. The airlock opened and they stepped inside. This time they went to a different room. A negotiation chamber with a large table and chairs. Sat at the head of the table, his massive body relaxed and confident. His soldiers stood behind him. "Sit," commanded. Sat, remained standing. His eyes narrowed. "I said sit, human. I prefer to stand." The soldiers shifted, hands moving to their weapons, but waved them down with a smile. "The little creature has spirit. I almost admire it." He leaned forward. "Very well, stand if you wish. It matters little. You cannot change what is about to happen." "And what is about to happen?" asked calmly. "Will return to her people. Your daughter will come with her, and you will stay here alone, knowing that you failed to protect your family. a fitting punishment for stealing what was never yours. Started to speak, but held up his hand. "What if I offered you something better?" said. Laughed. "What could you possibly offer me, human?" "Information about this station, about its defenses, its weak points, its secrets. I am the chief engineer here. I know everything about this place." Stared at in shock. Was he really going to betray the station, betray everyone just to save them? But seemed interested. He stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Go on. Let and Nara stay with me. Leave us alone forever. In return, I will give you the codes to the station's defense systems. You could take this place without firing a shot." Considered this. Could see the greed in his eyes. The station was valuable, a trading hub between many systems. Controlling it would give him power beyond measure. But then shook his head. "No, the station is tempting but is more valuable. Her bloodline is legendary. Her children could be the greatest warriors they have ever known. I will not trade that for a pile of metal and machines." His face did not change. "I see, then we have nothing more to discuss." "No, we do not." Stood. "Take them, put the woman on the ship, kill the human." The soldiers moved forward, jumped to her feet ready to fight. But there were too many of them. They grabbed her arms and held her tight. 2 more soldiers went for. And then something happened. Something that made everyone stop. Moved. It was not fast, not at first. He simply stepped sideways and the soldier reaching for him grabbed only air. Then the soldier fell. Did not see how it happened. One moment the soldier was standing. The next he was on the ground, his arm bent at a wrong angle. The second soldier swung at with a heavy fist, ducked under it, caught the arm and twisted. The soldier screamed and dropped to his knees. The room erupted into chaos. Soldiers charged at from all directions, tried to break free, but the hands holding her were too strong. But did not need her help. He moved through the soldiers like water through rocks, not fighting them directly, not matching their strength. Instead, he used their own force against them. Every punch they threw was redirected. Every grab was turned into a throw. He was not stronger than them, but he was smarter, faster, more precise. In less than a minute, 5 soldiers lay on the ground, groaning in pain. The rest backed away, fear in their eyes. They had never seen anything like this. A human should not be able to do this. A human should be weak, should be prey. But this human was something different. Stood slowly, his face a mask of rage. "What is this? What are you?" Straightened. He was breathing a little harder now, but his face was still calm. His eyes were still quiet. But underneath that calm, something ancient and terrible was looking out. "I am human," said simply, "and you made a mistake." "What mistake?" "You threatened my family." Sneered. "You have won nothing, creature. There are 100 soldiers on this ship. You cannot defeat them all." "No," agreed. "I cannot, not yet." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device, a detonator. "But I do not need to defeat them. I just need to stop them. Right now, there are charges attached to your ship's fuel lines. If I press this button, we all die." His eyes went wide. When had he done this? How had he done this? Stared at the detonator. For the first time, saw fear in his eyes. "You are bluffing." "Am I?" Smiled. It was not his usual gentle smile. It was something colder, harder. "I told you, Warlord, you made a mistake. You thought I was mild. You thought I was weak. But I am human, and there is something you should know about humans." "What is that?" His eyes seemed to glow in the red light. "We do not let go of what we love, ever. We will burn the world before we let it be taken from us. Your ancestors called us persistence predators. We hunted creatures 10 times our size by following them until they collapsed from exhaustion. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. But we never, ever stop." He held up the detonator. "Now let my wife go, or we all die together." The room was silent. No one moved, no one breathed. Looked at her husband. her gentle, kind, mild husband, and finally she understood. He had never been mild. He had simply never needed to show what he truly was. Until now. The silence in the room was absolute. Every soldier stared at the small device in his hand. Every one of them knew what it meant. Death, complete and total destruction, not just for them but for their warlord, for their ship, for everything they had built. And it was being held by a human, a creature they had laughed at just moments ago. His face was twisted with rage and something else, something he had not felt in many years. Fear, true fear. "You would not do it," said. His voice was steady but could see the doubt in his eyes. "You would kill yourself. You would kill your wife. No creature is that mad." "Try me," said quietly. The soldiers holding looked at each other uncertainly. Their grip on her arms loosened just a little. She could feel their fear through their hands. Took a step forward. "Listen to me, human. Whatever you think you are doing, it will not work. Even if you blow up this ship, my fleet will come for you, for your daughter, for everyone on this station. You cannot win." "You are wrong." His voice was calm, almost peaceful. "I have already won. The moment you threatened my family, you lost. You just do not know it yet." How have you won? You are one man, one small, weak man." Smiled. "Let me explain something to you, warlord. Do you know why humans spread across the galaxy so quickly? Why we are on every station and every planet and every moon? It is not because we are strong. It is not because we have the best weapons. It is because we never give up. Ever." He took a step forward. The soldiers raised their weapons but waved them down. "On my home world," continued, "there were creatures called wolves. They hunted in packs. They were fast and fierce, but humans hunted them to near extinction. Do you know how? We followed them, day after day, night after night. We never stopped. The wolves would run and we would walk. They would hide and we would find them. Eventually they gave up. They lay down, and we killed them." He held up the detonator again. "I will follow you, warlord. If you take my wife, I will come for her. If you hide her, I will find her. If you run to the edge of the galaxy, I will be behind you. You will never sleep peacefully again. You will never know a moment of rest, because I will be coming, always coming." Stared at him. The warlord had faced armies. He had faced monsters. He had faced death itself 100 times, but he had never faced anything like this. "You are insane," whispered. "No, I am a husband. I am a father. And you made the worst mistake of your life." Felt tears in her eyes, not of sadness, of pride, of love. This was her husband, this gentle man who grew vegetables and hummed songs and kissed their daughter good night. This was who he truly was underneath. A force of nature, unstoppable, unbreakable. Stepped forward slowly, his hands raised. "Cousin, please, this does not need to end in death. Let us talk. Let us find another way." "There is only one way," said without looking at him. "Your warlord releases my wife. He leaves this station. He never comes back. He never thinks about us again. That is the only way this ends without blood." Laughed suddenly. It was a harsh sound, broken and bitter. "You think I will surrender to a human? You think I will let my honor be destroyed by a creature like you? I do not care about your honor. I care about my family." "Then you will die caring." Moved. He was fast for his size, faster than expected. His hand shot out and grabbed his wrist, trying to take the detonator. Twisted, but's grip was like iron. "Everyone out," roared at his soldiers. "Now." The soldiers ran for the doors, dragging with them. She screamed and fought, but they were too strong. She could only watch as and struggled for the device. Kicked its leg. The warlord grunted but did not let go. He squeezed harder and heard the bones in his wrist crack. A normal man would have screamed. A normal man would have let go. Did not let go. Instead, he dropped the detonator to his other hand and stepped back. In the same motion, he pressed the button. The ship shook with a deep boom. The lights flickered. Alarms began to scream, But the ship did not explode, not completely. The secondary fuel line, said, his broken wrist hanging at his side. Not enough to destroy the ship, just enough to cripple it. You are not going anywhere, warlord. Looked around in shock. Smoke was filling the room. The floor tilted slightly as the ship lost power. His beautiful warship, his pride and glory, was dying. You will pay for this, snarled. I already have, held up his broken wrist. Now it is your turn. The soldiers had stopped at the door, unsure what to do. The ones holding loosened their grip further. She tore herself free and ran too. Your arm, she said, reaching for him. Later, we need to move. But was not finished. He pulled a blade from his belt, a long curved sword that had killed hundreds. He raised it over his head. If I cannot have you alive, he said to, then no one will. He swung. Was a warrior. She was trained, she was fast, but she was not fast enough. The blade came down like a falling star. And stepped in front of it. The sword cut deep into his shoulder, nearly to the bone. Blood sprayed across the room, gasped with pain but did not fall. He grabbed arm with his good hand and held it there. Run, he said to through gritted teeth. Get Nara, go to the escape pods. I will not leave you. You will. He looked at her and despite the pain he smiled. That same gentle smile. I will follow, I promise. But right now you need to protect our daughter, please. Wanted to argue, she wanted to stay and fight, but she saw the truth in his eyes. He could not hold much longer, and if she stayed they would both die. Nara would be alone. I love you, she said. I know, now go. She ran. Behind her she heard roar with anger. She heard the sounds of fighting, of things breaking, of men shouting. But she did not look back. She could not. The corridors of the ship were filled with smoke and chaos. Soldiers ran in every direction, trying to save their dying vessel. None of them noticed her. None of them cared about one woman when their world was falling apart. She reached the airlock and pushed through into the station. The docking bay was crowded with people watching the smoke pour from ship. Security officers were shouting orders. Civilians were screaming. Pushed through them all. She ran faster than she had ever run in her life. She reached their home and tore open the door. Inside, everything was quiet, too quiet. Nara, she called out. Nara, where are you? No answer. Her heart stopped. Had they taken her? Had the soldiers found her hiding place? Then she remembered, the panel in the floor, the hiding spot had made. She ran to Nara's room and pulled up the panel. Inside, curled in a ball with her stuffed animal, was her daughter, alive, safe, tears streaming down her face. Sunset, said softly. Nara looked up. Mother. Pulled her out and held her tight. Yes, little one, I am here, I am here. Where is father? Could not answer. She did not know. She only knew that he was back there on that ship fighting for them, bleeding for them, maybe dying for them. Father is coming, she said. He promised. She carried Nara out of the room. She had to find somewhere safe. The escape pods, like had said, or the security office. Somewhere soldiers could not reach them. But as she stepped into the corridor, she stopped. There were soldiers waiting, 5 of them, stood at the front, his face torn with conflict. I am sorry, he said. Has ordered your capture, dead or alive, I have no choice. Put Nara behind her. She had no weapons. She had nothing but her body and her will. Then you will have to kill me, she said, because I will not let you take my daughter. Hesitated. The other soldiers raised their weapons. And then from down the corridor, a voice spoke. I would not do that if I were you. Everyone turned. Walked toward them. He was covered in blood. His arm hung broken at his side. His shoulder was a ruin of torn flesh. He should not have been standing. He should not have been alive. But he was walking, step by step, his eyes fixed on the soldiers. Hal whispered, How are you still moving? Did not answer. He just kept walking. Behind him could see a trail of blood leading back toward the docking bay. He had walked all that way, dripping blood, with wounds that would have killed a lesser being. But he was human, and humans do not stop. "Get away from my family," said quietly. The soldiers looked at each other. They were trained killers, elite warriors. They should not be afraid of one wounded human. But they were. They looked at this creature who should be dead, who kept moving despite his shattered body, and they felt something they had never felt before. True terror. Because this human was not fighting with strength. He was fighting with something else, something ancient and primal, something that made their warrior blood run cold. He was fighting with love, and love, they realized, was more dangerous than any weapon in the galaxy. Dropped his rifle, it clattered on the floor. "Stand down," he said to his soldiers. But stand down, looked at with new eyes. "I will not fight this man, not today, not ever." One by one, the soldiers lowered their weapons. They stepped aside, clearing the path. Walked past them without a word. He reached Nara and fell to his knees. His strength was finally failing. "I told you," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I told you I would come back." Caught him before he collapsed completely. Nara was crying, touching her father's face. "Someone get a medical team," screamed. "Now." People ran to help. The soldiers did nothing. They just watched this impossible human, this mild creature who had burned a warship and walked through death itself for his family. And in their hearts something changed. They would tell stories about this day, stories that would spread across the galaxy, about the human who could not be stopped, about the husband who shattered expectations, about the quiet storm that woke when his family was threatened. The legend of had begun. 3 days passed before opened his eyes. He was in the medical center, surrounded by machines and tubes and blinking lights. His body was wrapped in bandages. His arm was in a cast. His shoulder had been rebuilt with synthetic tissue and metal pins. Was beside him when he woke. She had not left his side since they brought him in. Nara slept on a small bed in the corner, her stuffed animal clutched to her chest. "Hey," said weakly. Grabbed his hand and held it tight. "Hey yourself." "How long?" 3 days. The doctor said you should not be alive. They said no one loses that much blood and survives. Smiled softly. "I had something to live for." She leaned down and kissed his forehead. Her tears fell on his face. "You fool, you beautiful, stupid fool. I prefer brave and clever. You are those too." She sat back and wiped her eyes. "Do you know what you did? Do you have any idea?" "I protected my family." "You did more than that. You destroyed ship. You humiliated him in front of his soldiers. The entire station saw it happen. The entire galaxy is talking about it." Closed his eyes. "I did not want to destroy anything. I just wanted them to leave us alone." "I know," she squeezed his hand. "But you did more than that. You changed everything." Over the next few days, told him what had happened. Ship was ruined. The explosions had destroyed the engines and most of the weapon systems. The vessel was stranded at the station, unable to move. Himself was badly injured from the fight. 3 broken ribs, a fractured jaw, a deep cut across his face that would leave a permanent scar. But the worst damage was to his reputation. Word had spread quickly. A human engineer had challenged Warlord. A human had crippled his ship. A human had walked through death itself to protect his family. The most feared warrior in the Empire had been humiliated by someone half his size. The soldiers who had witnessed it told their friends. Those friends told others. Within hours, the story was everywhere, and with each telling, it grew larger. They called him the Ghost Walker, the human who would not die, the storm that woke. On the home world, politicians began asking questions. How had been defeated by a human? Was he really as powerful as they thought? Could he still lead their military? Maybe it was time for new leadership. Enemies, and he had many, saw their chance. They began calling for investigations, for trials, for his removal from power. The warlord who had ruled through fear was suddenly afraid himself. A week after the incident, came to visit. He stood at the door of the medical room, his face uncertain, tensed when she saw him, ready to fight if needed, but raised his hands peacefully. "I come alone," he said. "No weapons, no soldiers, just me." "What do you want?" asked coldly. "To apologize." He stepped inside slowly. "To both of you. What happened was wrong. I knew it was wrong, but I followed orders anyway. That makes me a coward." Looked at him from the bed. "You could have stopped it." "I know," lowered his head. "I should have, but was powerful and I was weak. I told myself I had no choice, but we always have a choice." He looked at. "You taught me that, cousin. When you chose this human over our traditions, when you chose love over duty, I thought you were foolish. Now I see you were the bravest of us all." Did not know what to say. She had hated for his role in this, but looking at him now, she saw only regret. "What will happen to?" she asked. "He has been recalled to the home world. There will be a tribunal. Many of his followers are turning against him. The story of what happened here has spread too far. He cannot hide from it." Spoke up. "Will he come back for us?" Shook his head. "He cannot. His power is broken. His ship is destroyed. And everyone knows that if he tries to harm you again, you will stop him. You have become a legend, human. People fear you more than they fear him." Looked at her husband. This gentle man who hummed songs and grew vegetables. A legend. It still seemed impossible. "We do not want to be legends," she said. "We just want to live in peace." "And you will," reached into his pocket and pulled out a document. "This is an official decree from the High Council. Your marriage is recognized. Your daughter is recognized. No citizen may challenge your family under penalty of death. You are protected." Took the document with shaking hands. She had dreamed of this. For years she had hoped that her people would accept her choice. And now, because of what had done, they finally had. "Thank you," she whispered. Nodded. "Thank your husband. He earned it." He turned to leave, then stopped at the door. "I have one question." "Yes." "Were you really going to blow up the ship, with yourself inside?" Was quiet for a moment, then he smiled his gentle smile. "Absolutely." Shook his head slowly. "Humans are terrifying. Only when we need to be." Left, sat beside and held his hand again. "You would have really done it," she said. "You would have died." "Yes." Why would you throw your life away?" He turned his head to look at her. His eyes were soft and warm, the same eyes she had fallen in love with years ago. "Because a life without you and Nara is not a life worth living," he said simply. "I did not want to die, but I would rather die than live without my family, every time." Felt her heart swell. She leaned down and kissed him, long and deep. "I love you," she said against his lips. "I know I love you too." In the corner, Nara stirred and woke up. She saw her father was awake and ran to his bed. "Father, you are okay." Laughed and winced at the pain in his ribs. "I am okay, little star. I told you I would come back." "You always keep your promises." "I try." The family sat together in the quiet room. Outside, the station continued its slow spin through space. Ships came and went. People lived their lives. Everything was normal. But nothing was really normal anymore. 2 months later was fully recovered. The doctors called it a miracle. He called it stubbornness. Their life returned to something like routine. Went back to work in the engineering section. Trained in the combat halls. Nara went to school and played with her friends. They ate dinner together every night and watched the stars through their window. But things were different now. People treated them differently. Other species looked at with respect, sometimes with fear. Warriors nodded at when they passed, acknowledging her as an equal. Even the children at Nara's school had heard the stories. "My father fought a warlord," Nara told her classmates proudly, and he won. The legends continued to grow. Some said had killed 50 soldiers with his bare hands. Some said he had fought for hours. Some said he had walked through fire to reach his family. The truth was both simpler and more amazing. He was just a man who loved his family. But sometimes, love is the most powerful force in the universe. One evening and sat in their usual spot by the window. Nara was asleep in her room. The stars moved slowly past, ancient and eternal. "I have been thinking," said. "About what?" "About what I said before. When first came, I said I was scared. I said I wished you had more fire." She turned to look at him. "I was wrong. You had fire all along, you just kept it hidden." Nodded slowly. "I do not like violence. I do not like hurting people. But some things are worth fighting for. Some things are worth dying for. Like family. Like family." She leaned against him, feeling his warmth. "The other used to pity me. They said I chose a weak mate. They said I was foolish. And now," she smiled, "now they ask how they can find a human of their own." Laughed. It was a good sound, a sound of joy and peace. "I do not think they understand," he said. "They think all humans are like me. They think any human would do what I did. Would they not?" He considered the question. "I think most humans would, for their families, for the ones they love. We are not warriors by nature, but we become warriors when we need to be. It is in our blood, in our history. Thousands of years of fighting and surviving and protecting what matters." Nodded. She understood now. Her husband was not special because he was strong. He was special because he was human. And humans, she had learned, were more dangerous than anyone realized. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, then spoke again. "Do you ever regret it, choosing me?" Looked at him, at his gentle face and his kind eyes, at the scars on his shoulder and the slight bend in his arm where it had been broken, at this small, soft human who had torn apart an empire for her. "Never," she said, "not for a single moment." He smiled, that same gentle smile that she loved so much. "Good, because I am not planning on going anywhere." "I know," she took his hand and held it tight, "you never were." Outside, the stars continued their eternal dance. The station turned slowly in the void, and somewhere across the galaxy, people told stories about the human who had shattered a warlord's power with nothing but love and determination. They called him mild, they called him weak, they called him harmless. They were wrong about all of it, and would spend the rest of her life grateful for that fact, grateful for her strange, gentle, terrifying human husband, grateful for the quiet storm she had married, grateful for the man who was never mild at all.